You all know this is a special meeting that's been called by certain and selected board members. That happen not to be here, actually. But, Tom, would you open the meeting, please?
Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, known as the Open Public Meetings Act, Mr. Diavola notified the public that notice of the date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. Number one, by posting such notice in the public announcement board of the Lakewood Board of Education offices in the Lakewood Township Municipal Building. Number two, by mailing such notice to the office of the Asbury Park Press. Number three, by filing such notice with the board secretary. Number four, by mailing such notice to all individuals who requested and paid for a copy of the same. Roll call. Ms. Friedman? Mr. Greenspan? Mr. Slatkin? Mr. Tiff?
Here.
Mr. Munn?
Here.
Mr. Schwartz?
Here.
Mr. Silver? Mr. Seidler?
Here.
Mr. Fink?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Prior, we're going to move the meeting along, but prior to the meeting, I wanted to share this with the public, and this might not be in order, but I'm doing it anyway. This morning or late yesterday afternoon, the district received an OPA request. For people who don't know what an OPA request is, it's an Open Public Records Act request form. And I'm sure there's many people in this room who have filed OPA requests in the past. This one happens to come from Michael Inzelbuck, asking for the following. Any and all billings submitted for 226 nursing services for the school year by any and all public schools, non-public schools. Any and all billings submitted as to evaluation and classification of non-public schools, Chapter 226 for the school year. Any and all contracts for Chapter 226 services and Chapter 193 services for all non-public schools. Any and all contracts as to Title I non-public services with any of the approved vendors, TOK, Catapult, etc. The school year is defined as July 1st, 2012 to current. This is one of the reasons why our attorney bills have been so expensive, and they have been. We are constantly getting OPA requests from certain individuals, forcing this district attorney bills higher and higher. And this one that we just got is a complete shocker to Lakewood and to probably members, because no members of the board have seen this. I was made aware of this earlier this morning. The board members will receive a copy of this. I'm sure people who live in Lakewood of the non-public sector are not going to like this OPA request, but I wanted to make it public prior to the meeting so everybody understands what the board's really about. The most important thing for the board to do is to move forward in unison when we have issues that affect the children. We might not all agree on how to proceed, but at the end of the day, we try to be understanding and just understand everything that the board members are trying to do is for the children and not for individuals. With that being said, the board, based on the petition of the current attorney, two things are going to happen today. And I'm going to really lead this so it doesn't get personal with other board members. There is a resolution going to be passed for an interim BA, superintendent. Attorney, I apologize. Soon. But you'll see there's no attorneys here. The attorneys will keep all open current cases as they are right now. I have spoke to them this morning and late last night. I don't think the board's going to have any issues with that going forward. We're going to go through a regular RFP process where we will Tom will send out an RFP. We do have a committee set up who will interview all the attorneys going forward, which happens to be currently, and it can change. Lee Munder's the chair, Tracy Piff's on it, Joel Schwartz is on it, and I'm on it. But that could change to include Yoni Silver instead of myself for personal reasons. I'm not going to be around for the next few weeks, and I definitely would like Yoni on the committee. So if in fact I have to fly back to Florida, which is very likely, Yoni's going to step into my place. Is that okay with you, Yoni?
Yes, we can figure it out.
Okay, fine, thanks. Tom, let's move on.
Need a motion to move the business agenda. Second?
Second.
Item A is the bills list. It's a supplemental business because, as you know, I wasn't here on the 13th for personal reasons, and we had some bills that had to be paid. Also, item B is the cafeteria bills list. Again, the same reason we have to concur with that. Item C are the bids that we received for the custodial maintenance services for the 2013-14 school year with an option for year 2, 2014 and 15. The bids came in from Sodexo, Aramark, and Pritchard. The base bid, Sodexo was higher than Aramark by about $48,000. However, when you project it over a 2-year period, which we were looking for, Sodexo is lower than their base bid because they based their second year bid on the projected CPI. So it's the recommendation of the business office that we award the bid to Sodexo for the 2013 year with the option of 2014 school year.
What is the document?
Okay, as I explained to the board at one time, in the specifications, we put down what is their base bid if they're going to provide all the services, and then how much will they deduct if we provide only supervisor of buildings and grounds, which the board had agreed that we want to do, because we want to have our person here to oversee the operation of the maintenance, because we're really not totally satisfied with what's been going on in the district.
So when you tally everything up, Sodexo is the lowest
Yes.
bid?
Yes.
Even with the deduction?
Yes, if you look at year 2, see, the deduct is really their side of it. Whatever they want to put in, it makes no difference. With the net bid is $1,870. As you see from there, it's $36,000 difference in the first year.
Yes.
When you add the CPI for the second year, it comes out to be an additional $18,000 that Sodexo is below. So that's why my recommendation is Sodexo.
I have a question. Wasn't Sodexo providing services before Aramark?
I don't know.
I just want to know in terms of the
Yes,
quality, because
They were here before.
because we did hear some things. Actually, a couple of years ago, discussion whether that Aramark and Sodexo and the reason why we switched, and I just want to know if those reasons are still relevant. There were issues, and that's why the switch was made. Again, it was not made during my time. But while discussing why the switch was made a couple of years ago, there were some issues brought up. I just want to know, were you aware of that? And because it is a big move, and we all know that when the kids go to school, we want to have obviously the best academic, but also environmentally, the kids go to the bathroom comfortably and walk around and make sure everything is clean and dining room area, obviously.
That's why when we discussed the idea of having our own supervisor of buildings and grounds, that person can make sure that they do what they're supposed to do.
Gotcha.
Through the chair,
And that's the best thing.
I understand that Sodexo currently provides our food service, and
yeah.
we are extremely happy with them.
Right.
So the management is very professional,
I think it was just with the maintenance issues.
and we had maintenance issues with our
Yeah.
current contract.
Generally, big companies, every department is run by different people. The food section could be run by one division, which is very good, but some companies have a different division which is not run properly. So I just bring it up because that was an issue, and if there was an issue in maintenance, and people run the food department and the maintenance department with totally separate people,
Isn't it my understanding that the head of this food service will be running the maintenance department as well?
Yes.
That's Armida?
I think, if I recall, it was prior to my time too, but if I recall from meetings with the previous attorney as far as, and Bob Finger, one of the previous BA, that Sedesco had missed handing in a bid on time. And I think it was a day or two, and that was the reason why the change was made. And I'm not sure if it was a day or two, but I know there was a time differential in Sedesco turning in their RFP. So that's, I think, what led to the massive change.
One more
So-
question. Currently, what's the cost of that contract that we have with Aramark now? Do you know?
It's over,
Ballpark.
ballpark is over 2 million.
So this is automatically a savings of a
Yes,
couple $100,000.
that's why we have room for supervisor buildings and grounds.
So Tom, when would the supervisor that the district will hire will take effect to oversee?
Hopefully July 1st. We're going to start interviews. The superintendent I'm going to interview this week. And if you'd like to be a member, you're the supervisor, you're the chairman
Chair of the board, yes.
Buildings and Grounds, so it'd be nice if you're there.
Great.
What happens if the CPI is 3% and actually Armor comes out cheaper in year 2? Are we going
They
to
based
do
on-
another RFP, or we're just going to go continue with the Sodexo, or we decide then?
They're basing their bid on 6%.
Right, but what if it's 3% and then they actually are cheaper?
No, they're basing their bid on 6%, not on the CPI.
You
At
exercise
6%.
the option.
Sodexo is based it on the CPI.
Oh, it's just plain 6%,
Right.
not a projected 6%.
Exactly.
I see.
Okay.
That's why I'm recommending it, because that's a flat fee.
Okay.
And that's not,
I got
there's
it.
no flexibility.
I thought it was also a
Right.
projection, but their projections were off.
Yeah, right. We have an addition to the bills list. We'll have a correction in that amount for you. The item D is to move that we award to Sodexo. Item E is record bids for the preschool, for the 2013-14 school year for the kosher vendor meals. There was only one bid received, it's Cafe Clifton. They've done an excellent job this year. I see no reason why we should go out to bid again. So we're recommending that Cafe Clifton be awarded the bid again for next year. Item G, excuse me. There seemed to be some type of confusion about this, and I want to clarify it, that we had some bids that went out for 192, 193, IDEA, and nursing services. 192 and 193 came in. We received 2 bids, one from Tender Touch and one from Catapult. If you notice on item H, it explains that Tender Touch has not received their certification from the state, so they left us with one bidder, Catapult. And I normally do not accept just one bid to recommend that to the board, because it doesn't give the board the option to choose. When you have one bidder, it's just, that's it. So I'm rejecting it. I'm asking the board to reject it and go out to bid again, so we have more. Now, I understand that Tender Touch will have certification by that time, and there may be a third bidder also. So that's why I'm recommending that we reject the bids and go out to bid again. That's it for me, and then the next one is the legal service.
Hey, Tom, excuse me, through the chair, like, when this goes out the bid again, will services still be provided so kids won't actually lose out on anything?
Oh, no.
Next year.
Okay.
Next
No,
year.
so for next year.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, it's for next year.
Great, thank you.
So all of this is for next year, you know. Although I really wanted to do this last month, we had all kinds of stuff happening, but
Thank you.
okay, do you want to, under the business?
Well, finish what you have,
I'll
and then, you finished it?
Yeah, I think I
Read-
just have to give you amended amount for the bills and stuff.
Okay, then read the resolution, and so it's on the same.
Okay. Yeah, please, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Tom, do you have the resolution?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everybody to get a copy of it, so.
We haven't got there, we're taking the resolution part of the process.
You have a copy? Resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints the law firm of Shank, sorry, it's 8:30 in the morning. Shank, Price, Smith, and King, also known as SPSK, as interim legal counsel to the Board of Education at the hourly rate of $185 for services of all attorneys from May 31st, 2013 until June 30th, 2013, or until permanent counsel is appointed, whichever is sooner. And be it further resolved that the firm's billing shall not exceed $17,500 during this period, so as not to comply with all applicable public procurement laws.
Correction, so as
As
to
to. So as to comply, correct. Be further resolved that the services of Short, Simon, Edelstein, and Celso, SSCEC, are hereby terminated effective immedately, subject to the remainder of the resolution. And be it further resolved that SSCEC, supposed to be, is hereby directed to turn over immediately all files related to the Lakewood Board of Education to CPSK for further handling and execute necessary substitution of attorney provided. However, that SPSK shall determine in consultation with the board whether there are any matters in which the interest of the board should be best served by allowing SSCC to continue as counsel in such matters. And be it further resolved that the board president is authorized to execute a retainer agreement with SPSK consistent with the terms of this resolution. And be it finally resolved that the business administrator is directed to immediately issue a formal request for proposal for permanent legal counsel, which shall be advertised and posted on the district's website. That'll be item I.
I just want to reiterate one thing, please. This resolution does not prevent the current or the attorneys right now, Edelstein and Company, from submitting an RFP, going through the interview process. I hope they do. And the committee will interview every attorney properly who hands in their RFP.
Through the chair.
Yep.
All cases now that Edelstein's law firm is working on, will those cases still be handled by that law firm?
Yes, they will. All open cases will be still handled by Edelstein and Company.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are the attorneys here in the room? Can we see them? Could they come forward?
The attorneys are not in the room. They haven't been appointed interim, and
Well, I don't mean sitting among us, but are they?
the attorneys are not in the room.
Okay.
They haven't been hired yet, and they're not in the room. After we hire them on an interim basis, at the next meeting or beforehand, the board will get together to meet them.
So we could only hire them? We could only see them after we hire them?
Right.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment also to the members of the public. I'm sure everybody knows this district has gone through major changes this entire year. 95% positive changes, and we've come a long way. And thanks to many individuals, our superintendent, our BA, also our attorney firm, who has restored a lot of dignity and trust in Lakewood. Inevitably, there's changes that are happening for various reasons, but rest assured that I will not allow this district to fall back into disrepair. And we have to move forward with professionals. And I've personally met with this firm, who I understand is being voted here today as an interim firm, that they are the most professional firm that I've ever met, and they would represent Lakewood extremely well, specifically on an interim basis, until we go out to RFP and figure out who the right person for the job is. And I feel comfortable going forward with this move.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve it?
Well, there's a motion on the floor because it's part of the business agenda, but I want to amend the bills list to be $1,743,290 instead of $1,659.
The motion
It'll be
is as amended.
$1,743,290
The motion will be as amended.
as amended, right?
All right.
Carl, I just want to add what Joel has had to say. I knew Schwartz's firm I knew the people that we are going to consider. Last year's 2012 top 100 people in New Jersey, the law firm, Mark Zimmer, was listed as the #1 legal counsel for Board of Educations in the state of New Jersey. I also know Paul Green, as well as his father, who was originally my counsel up in Mount Olive. They are experienced. They will do what's best for this district at a reasonable cost. I think we're doing the right thing right now. As I said, when we started the process to go out for RFP, tell people what is our expectations, and asking them to bid 3 different ways, 3 separate accounts, so that you can compare apples to apples. I want to thank Edelstein's firm. They have done an outstanding job for this district. Maybe it's been costly. I am not sure it's more costly than we have paid in the past, because you can't compare apples to apples.
Lee, thanks. Just let me conclude before we take a vote on the motions, that I am convinced that this move will not set Lakewood back, but move it in the right direction. That's what we
Keep it moving in the right direction.
So,
I'd like to make a motion
please.
to approve.
Motion is on the table already.
I'm sorry.
That's part of the business.
Gotcha.
Okay, so can we have a roll call?
Okay. Mr. Friedman?
Yes.
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes on everything except for the resolution.
Mrs. Lacken?
Yes.
Mr. Tiff?
Yes.
Mr. Munn?
Yes,
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Silver?
Yes.
Mr. Seibler?
yes.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn?
Adjourn?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to plug
This is
it.
not a not a public meeting. No, it's not a public meeting. You're not supposed to be gathering. If the board votes to...
It's on the agenda.
Excuse me.
All right.
If the board... Pardon me? If the board votes to recognize the public, the board has the right to do that, but this is not a public meeting. This is publicly advertised. This is a special meeting of the Board of Education to discuss these issues, and that's it. What's on the agenda, if the board would like to take comments on things that are on the agenda, that's fine. But the board has to make the motion and allow.
Can we have a motion?
I would like to hear public comments regarding the agenda only. So I know some people on the board need to go to work, but I would like, out of common courtesy to the public, a quorum.
I'd like to make a motion to open up the meeting to public comment.
I'll second.
Fine, thank you.
We should have 5.
Carl, I have to leave, but if
Okay, have 5.
Let's keep it short.
Yeah.
It's a work day.
Because I have to go to work too. If you don't mind, public, can you keep it short? Because I do have to go to work as well, and I want to try to keep a quorum here so we can hear the public. Pastor Glenn?
Roll call.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Yeah, yes.
Opposed?
Pastor Glenn?
I'm so sorry that they left. But here we go again. And I'm so sorry to see that law firm leave, because they restored civility to our district. After 10 years of disorder and corruption, they came here and they restored civility. And the only reason why, Carl, they're getting rid of that man is because he's investigating and he's finding. And isn't it amazing that the very attorney that is being investigated, is now advising members of our board to get rid of him. And the members of our board are listening to the very attorney that for 10 years ran this district in the ground. And members of our board that just left, and some that are still here, are listening to him. Our children are in trouble. with some of these folks, on this board. And I'm telling you right now, you got a fight on your hand, board. If you think that you're going to turn this thing back to what it used to be. The progress that we have to keep. And as a community leader, I'm telling you, I'm going to fight to make sure that this does not change. Carl, they're going to come after you next. And then they're going to come after our superintendent, because that's what they do. Why are they more expensive? Because they have to clean up the mess that Michael Enselbook did over 10 years. And I'm insulted that you even consider to bring Michael Enselbook back to this board. I'm insulted. Mr. Slatkin, he needs to start showing up here when there are important votes for our kids. He only comes around here whenever there's a vote for his community. And that needs to change. I'm asking this board, and you know what, those of you that really care, and you are all here, the ones that really care are here. We have to fight to keep progress moving in the right direction. We cannot allow Lakewood to go back to what it used to be. Things are not moving in the right direction. We cannot allow. We got puppets on this board. They're puppets. They're here, but they're being controlled by outside forces. And we will not stand for it. These are our kids, and we will fight for our kids.
Thank you, Pastor. Edwin Lugo? Yeah. If you can, I'll ask the public to try to keep it to 3 minutes, please, if you don't
Tracy
mind.
needs to leave
I have
to go to work.
I have to go to work.
I really want to maintain a quorum,
Thank
please.
you.
I gotta go to.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm gonna read you a message that I sent to Lakewood High School students on May 19. The message said, Lakewood High School students, on May 22, we're going to have a walkout, the beginning of period 4. I said, we do not, I quote, do not have any intentions of our plans resulting in violence. Like how you guys know, it never happened. The reason why it never happened was the day before we were going to do the walkout, we received an announcement saying that students were going to be suspended for 2 days. That didn't surprise me. But the thing that surprised me was that we were going to, students that did walk out, the next day they were going to be submitted for a drug test. Now I'm asking the board members, I asked the principal and the vice principal to show me a policy where it said that students were going to be submitted or have the right.
Honestly, we really need to keep it to agenda items. I hear you. I was involved with that. I was very supportive of that off the records, but
Not anymore.
so I'm on the record. I was very supportive of it.
I'll cut it short, but I just want to make a statement. If you don't have to answer me right now, but I would like to see a policy where it says that students could get a drug test without any consequences, because I don't think is right. Another thing that I want to say is that so far this year, everything has been going pretty fine. I've been in that Lakewood High School for 4 years. I'm graduating this year.
Good for you.
If we're Lakewood's pure voice, why don't we get a pure change? That's all I'm asking for. Not only for me, but for our classmates. And if I'm standing here asking you guys to make a pure change, stop hiding junk under the table, and make things seem like how they're not, it's time to make a change. And if me and people that I know that will support me to fight, I will continue fighting, even if I graduate.
Thank
After
you.
I graduate.
Thank you, Mr. Well, I think basically what you're looking for is a policy saying that there must be some reason of suspicion before a drug test is initiated. I'm sure we do have a policy on that. Yeah, I'm sure we do. Ms. Winters will take that up for you. Thank you. Mr. Hobday?
Good morning, Bill Hobday, 30 Schoolhouse Lane. First, it's difficult to say things after Pastor Glenn has spoken so eloquently and so deeply to the subject. And the subject is the children of this school district. I must commend the board because they came together on this very difficult situation. And they made some decisions collectively to move us ahead so this wouldn't be an all-out battle. That's commendable. However, I must repeat Pastor Glenn's statement that we have come so far this last year. We're digging out the information that needs to be dug out. We're presenting that information. The pride in this school district is returning so fast. I keep on reading about these wonderful things that are happening in the school district, where years ago, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible because the students had nowhere to go. They were warehoused. This board, this administration has brought back the pride. I think Mr. Edelson's firm had a lot to do with that because he's untangling all of those things that we got into over the last 10 years. Now, as a practical person, understanding the expenses of legal counsel, I think it is good and just for the board to sit down and consider what alternatives there might be out there. However, I would, as Mr. Fink has says, the board president, certainly consider returning this firm. But I would jawbone them a little bit about expenses. I understand what those expenses are, and I would think of there should be a separate line item that takes into account all these Oprah requests that are driving up the dollars. And therefore, the dollars can be pointed at where the expenses, why the expense is being used and driven up. Now, I would also, though, say the board and the administration is working pretty close to the chest here. And what I'm suggesting on issues such as this, if you would form a committee of stakeholders that could at least hear the deliberations, look at the information, look at the expense. What was that expense for? How can we manage that perhaps a little better? I think you would go so far to include everybody in your deliberations, because if you try to fight your way through this, you're going to get pushback. If, on the other hand, you become all-inclusive, listen to other people's positions, look at the statistics, look at the finances, and come together, you'll have the support of every community here. I beg you to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hoppe. Sherman, I can't read your last name. I'm sorry? Okay, thank you. George Rod.
My name is George Rod, Jorge, middle initial A, last name is Rod, R-O-D. 101 2nd Street, Lakewood, New Jersey, and I represent the board for Ocean Health Initiative.
All right, stop.
It's not an
Stop.
item, wait.
It's not on the agenda.
Stop.
Sorry. Please respect
Stop.
the people that need to go to work today.
We're not going to talk about ocean health here today at this meeting. There's an investigation going on right now. The meeting that we're going to discuss right now and the public comments we're going to have to discuss right now is strictly on our agenda. Thank you.
You let other people talk
That
about it.
was because it was related to children at the school, but we are not going to discuss ocean health at this meeting.
Okay, I have one request then.
If it's on the agenda, please.
I'd like to have a meeting with the board on a private session so we can resolve this matter.
All right, it can't be with the board. If you want, I could have it with 4 members of the board, so it's not a quorum.
Okay, I know the next meeting is the 27th and time is marching on, and September 1st is going to be right around the corner.
If you would like to have a meeting, Ms. Winters, the superintendent, will set it up. I'll be there, and I'll make sure there's 3 other members of the board, representing the district. But a quorum will not be there, and we will do that if you like, and we can do it next week.
Next week? Very good. Thank you very much. That's fine with me. Thank you.
Mr. Irvin Thomas?
Irving Thomas, 304 Monmouth Avenue, Lakewood, New Jersey. I just want to keep it short. I was had a lot, but I noticed no old news and no new news. But I would agree with Minister Glenn.
Pastor Wilson.
I say Glenn because we grew up together. As far as the law firm is concerned, I ask not go back to the old way, because you got to remember, when you have a law firm for such a long period of time, and I noticed in the past where the law firm was governing our meetings, the Board of Education meetings, I mean, they were governed.
The district.
Well, when I was here, they would govern the meeting. And the board basically had no voice. I'm going to ask you not to go back that way, because if you got to remember, if you have a king in a kingdom for so many years, he rules that kingdom. If you have a president, before we had 4 years or 8-year term, and you let them stay there for a long time, they govern. So do not allow any legal system to come in, or lawyer system, or however system you want, to govern your body. You are our superintendent, our president, our board. Let your voice come forward. Rule our attorneys, don't let them rule you, regardless of which direction it comes in. And do not, again, go back to the old-fashioned way of disrespecting the public behind you. You can either have our back, or we can bill your bills. Either way, work together. That's all I got to say about it.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you. Very well said.
Mr. Charles Anthony?
Good morning, Charles Anthony, 1406 Tower Street, Lakewood, New Jersey. Since we're sticking directly to the agenda, within the resolution, you stated that the current law firm, the appointed law firm, will be capped to $17,500. The new one that they're appointing. Where is this law firm located at? Where are they originally from?
They're up in North Jersey, they're in Morristown.
They have over 70 attorneys. They were the ones who actually said the 17,500. It wasn't board, it was directly from them. I think
They represent Jackson, they represent Cherry Hill, they represent,
It's not a point of the representation, it's a point of the amount, due to the effect that our Oprah costs right now are driving the cost of our current attorneys. Okay? The submission of bills and the submission of paperwork and the things that they are going through and the things that they have to go through to continue to represent not only the Lakewood School Board, but our kids, and our kids are a representation of our community. And in that is $17,500 going to be eaten up by the Oprah request from Michael Lisenbach.
Well, I agree with you, but this board, and I'm going to lead this charge, I do believe that people who are sending an Oprah request are doing it for specific
Various reasons.
reasons. And I think if they had to pay for the legal fees for Oprah requests sent in that are redundant week after week, month after month,
Understood.
we would stop.
Understood.
And you know what? Maybe it's time that district led the charge and asked the state to change the rules and the laws and let somebody make a decision what Oprah requests should be handled, what shouldn't be handled, and maybe we should start charging the public and the people who are being taken advantage of this and being redundant to start paying for the legal fees, or a portion of it.
Well, within that, do we have, since we are representatives of the community, do we have any representation from the community that could be placed within this review process of the Oprah? Or is that something that can be done?
No, I'm not. You know, we would really need to discuss that with our attorneys, but I don't think that's the case.
Policy committee.
Yeah,
The open law is very clear that it's Open Public Records
Open,
Act.
yeah.
That's really what it is, what it stands for. It means that anything that is declared public, it's public information, and they're then therefore available to the public for review. However, some of the items
That are being requested.
were really, I want all phone calls from 1912 to 19...
Yeah, understood.
I mean, you know, it's just ridiculous.
Understood, but when we sit here as the public and as the community, and we hear the board speak about the different requests that are being made, should we or should we not understand exactly who are making these requests? Even though we know who's making the request and we know the purpose behind the request, should there be some validation of who is exactly making this request?
No.
Because as getting back to what Pastor Glenn said, Pastor Wilson said, 10 years at $122,000 a year that we know of, okay? That we know of, 10 years of $122,000 a year, not including the extra billing, not including the overs, not including this, not including that, not including the other, just $122,000 that we know of. And now you're ready to return us back to the same exact thing. 6 months ago, one more, this is it, Tracy. 6 months ago, I was here in a meeting, and when this board first started off, everything was calm. 6 months ago, it broke down. And it broke down from two gentlemen that left.
As soon as the investigation started.
It broke down. Everybody started turning against each other, and that's not right. You're supposed to be respecting us, our kids, our children, and our community. I'd like to thank you very much, for Mr. Fink, for everything that you've done. I would like to thank the board for everything that they've done. But return our kids and our community back to stability. And I thank you.
Thank you. Paul Dower, am I pronouncing that right? No? Gary Hall, Mr. Hall, you good? Okay. Just let's take one quick statement, then I will end the thing. One of the reasons, that I asked Carl would the old attorney still be here to finish up the cases that he was working on, and Carl advised yes. So that's a good thing, okay? Because you want to keep what he had, keep it going, okay? So a new attorney coming in doesn't have to start all over again. And that also takes time and money to get caught up to speed on what's going on, okay? So it's a good idea to have one of those things law firm finish up what they're working on, any open cases, even regarding the kids, special ed, the investigation, whatever's going on, needs to continue. Because we don't want to give the impression that we're getting rid of the board attorney because of the investigation. That's not the case. I hope that's not the case, all right? Because I will hold the door open when they start taking people out of here. I hope that's not the case. So, that's a good thing that they're staying. So,
I want to thank everyone for coming. It really
Yes,
means a
thank you.
lot when the public comes down to the board meetings and voices your opinion. We need to continue this. We need to keep moving Lakewood in the right direction. So personally, thank you very much.
Before we close,
Just one announcement, that's all, just for anyone who's interested, excuse me, if anyone's interested in running for the board, the closing date is June 6th.
No.
Is it the 4th or the 6th?
Monday?
4th?
Oh, June 4th.
4th. 4 p.m. Petitions have to be obtained from the county. They're no longer available at the district. You have to go down here and sign for them yourself. So if anyone's interested in running for the board, and our board members, even if you're an incumbent, you still have to go through the petition process.
And it's a simple process to file a petition. It only takes 10 names on that petition to get your name on a ballot. If you care about kids, you can file that petition and participate in the process.
Let me just add that those 10 names have to be residents
Residents.
of Lakewood.
Legal voters.
And registered voters.
Right.
And residents.
Right, let's move.
Motion to adjourn.
Make a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all for
All in
coming.
favor?
Thank you.